Brad Marchand is officially a two-time Stanley Cup champion, but I don't think enough people are talking about the period of time he was known for licking people. And therefore, it is time for another episode of Behind the Beef, the series where in 3 minutes or less I tell you everything you need to know about an iconic sports beef. This episode is a little bit different because instead of our standard 2 beefcakes, we have a handful. On one side of the ring, we have Brad Marchand, and on the other side of the ring, we have all of his opponents that were unfortunate or fortunate enough, depending on which one you asked, to be on the wrong side of his tongue. Before Brad Marchand was traded to the Florida Panthers this year, he spent the rest of his career in Boston with the Bruins, and he won his first Stanley Cup with them in 2011. And the licking situation didn't come to pass until 2014. And it was in fact an escalating situation. To quote Mr. Brightside, it started out with a kiss. On April 24th of 2014, Brad Marchand gave his teammate what he called a congratulatory kiss. And on March 7th of 2015, he kissed his other teammate on the visor. This happened after Brad Marchand scored the game-winning goal in overtime off an assist from his teammate. In press after the game, he said that he told his teammate, "I could just kiss you right now," but his visor was in the way. Then he smiled and said, "I'll try anything once." And try anything he in fact did, because on February 20th of 2016, he took those friendly kisses towards his teammates and tried to turn them into competitive kisses. In a game against Dallas, Patrick Eaves and Brad Marchand squared up, and instead of throwing a punch, Brad attempted to kiss him. He was met with a shove, and everything kind of moved on from there. But then later that year, on November 11th, Brad successfully lands a kiss on the cheek of an opponent. And his opponent, Leo, who received that cheek kiss, was asked about it after the game. He played into the silliness of it and said that he told Brad he had a wife and kid at home, so he couldn't. And he was asked if it bothered him, and he smiled and said, "No, I kind of liked it." But then in 2018, things really escalate. Because on April 12th, the same opponent he kissed on the cheek, Leo, gets a full lick down the face. This was after the two of them had already engaged in a little bit of a scuffle, and Brad ended the situation by licking him in the face. Asked about it afterwards, Brad said, "I just wanted to cuddle. He keeps trying to get close to me. I don't know if he has a thing for me or something. He's cute." This one made such headlines that on April 27th, the NHL actually had to deny that they had told Brad Marchand to stop licking opponents. But then May 4th of the same year, Brad gets into a scuffle with Tampa Bay's Ryan Callahan. And after they had scuffled a couple of times throughout the game, Callahan approaches Brad after a low hit, and Brad licks him in the face. When he was asked afterwards about this, he said that Ryan had hit him 4 times in the face and he was just responding. Brad Marchand is known for a lot of things. Playing physical hockey, being an absolute menace to any team that comes in contact with him, and of course, in his past, solving problems on the ice by licking his opponents in the face. And of course, this week, he got to press his lips to something a little bit more precious than an opponent, and that was the Stanley Cup. So as we enjoy the Rat King taking a second Stanley Cup championship, it's important to remember where he came from. This has been an episode of Behind the Beef. Be sure to follow along for the rest of the series, and drop any iconic sports beefs that you'd like me to cover in the comments.